I think that's a very interesting question, especially like when climate change gets added to that, right? There are a number of responses about climate change talking about like there has to be severe, drastic changes to this because there isn't time to do less than that.
There's no time for anything.
To do that
Climate change is
politically.
over. It's done.
No, I'm with you entirely on that, Kyle. 100%.
Yeah, we might as well don't even worry about pump. It's like we're driving for NASCAR, and we just figured out that stock car auto racing is destroying the planet, and we're in the Home Depot car, and we're like, oh man, we got to slow down, boys. And the Lowe's car and the mellow yellow car over there, like going to the inside, like India and Pakistan and China are not going. They'll just mealy mouth around. Oh yeah, we'll change too. Yeah, you should change too, America.
It's even
less competitive. They're not gonna. The U.S. military is our biggest polluter. Everybody talks about our cars, like emissions are the big problem. Like if everybody in America drove an electric car, that would save the planet. No, it wouldn't. Every American out here could turn off their car and never turn it on again, and the seas are still going to rise and the ice caps are still going to melt.
The military is our biggest polluter. Are you sure about that?
I'm like 95% sure. Like some of the stuff that they do, some of the ordnance they use in particular, they use these depleted uranium rounds in a lot of the aircraft to like shoot ground targets, and they're just ruining areas. Like they're shooting radioactive bullets.
Okay, yeah, I suppose it's based on that. It might be how you measure pollution, right? If you're talking about ruining an island where they just bombard it all the time, then yeah. If you're talking about specifically the carbon levels, then dropping.
I mean, if you go back to like the nuclear testing, and there's islands out in the Bikini Atoll that are just uninhabitable.
Yep.
Where they've got that dome that's leaking out there.
But I don't think that's carbon levels.
No, so we're talking just carbon levels. It's pretty nuts too.
But even that. But I have that same conversation with my wife from time to time, Kyle, because we disagree on kind of the implementation of that. Like, I mean, I am conscientious about this. I do recycle. We do worry about things like that, but it's not relevant. My carbon emissions compared to like a major corporation's carbon emissions, or like the cruise line stuff that came out, like the carbon emissions they were putting out with the fleets of cruise ships, et cetera. It's just like, yeah. I could not emit carbon again, and me and 10,000 people like me or 1 million people like me could do that, and it wouldn't have a dent in the size of that.
Plant 10 trees a day for the rest of your life, and you won't even come close to what DuPont does in a day.
There's truth to that, and I'm not saying you're wrong because you're right. But also, I think sometimes people are like, I've really cleaned up my act. Yet that steel molting plant over there is using all the energy. Like, you don't molt any steel. Like, you'd use more energy too if you molted steel all day. Whatever, I don't know what it's called. But, Smelting, thank you. That's what I'm going for. But like I think concrete involves like boiling rocks or something outrageous like that. And it uses a ton of energy. Apparently, I didn't know this. Apparently, concrete is one of the biggest energy consumption things around. And so people think like, I've got LED lights and I'm doing my job. It's big business that's not. Well, you have different tasks.
Yeah,
sure.
It's a lost fight. It's a lost fight. I don't want to hear about climate change. I don't want to hear about it because I feel like it's lost. I feel like it's like that Jeff Daniels sketch from, I can't think of the TV show. Newsroom or something like that. And Jeff Daniels is like interviewing. He's like interviewing a climatologist, and he's saying to the guy like, all right, so you've done extensive studies, and what do we need to do to turn around climate change?
I do remember this.
He's like, reduce carbon emissions by 87%, reduce this by 35%, and we needed to have done it about 25 years ago. He's like, okay, well, what can we do today? He's like, oh, nothing. Nope. Well, let's try to put a bright spin on this for the audience out there. What can we do now to avoid all this? There's nothing that can be done to avoid it. Okay.
But let's put it in
perspective. What are we looking at in the next 10 years?
This is Woody.
Total melting of the polar ice caps.
No, but this is Woody yesterday, right? This is exactly that. There probably isn't a lot of times for a lot of different people in that scenario. There isn't a lot they can do. But you don't stop fighting because you're about to die from it, right? Like because what else are you going to do? Are you just going to go down quietly, mouth closed, like no complaints voiced?
We move inland and we invest in snorkels.
Sure. Sure, but you can along the way to slow that rate of progress down, right? Like, you try not to have it. You could accelerate this. You could do the exact opposite, right? If it's really like this is a lost cause, and I'm kind of with you that it is. Like, I honestly probably think we're probably as a species, right? But okay, the some side of that, if you go, this is inevitable. Why aren't we all just like doubling the carbon output right now? Let's live it up.
I feel
for
like
the
the
last 20 years.
Republicans
This
have gone from it's not real to it is real, but it's too late. And I'm like, no, that's just you just prefer it. I think.
Yeah, well, I think it probably is too late, but I don't think that excuses anyone from doing something. The fact it's too late is our own stupidity. That doesn't mean we get to be even more stupid now to just ignore it. It means we still try to fucking do what we can.
I think it's too late, but I think that the idea that it's a global or that our species is doomed is absurd. I think that if hurricanes become twice as powerful, and if we lose some percentage of our land mass, and even if the currents of the ocean change and that kills off a large amount of the seafood, we'll adapt as a species. We may not live at this level. We may take a dip in living conditions, but we're going to survive as a species in general.
Well, really, it's so much more depressing to me that maybe, because I've been a sci-fi fan type of thing, and I'm interested in that and believe that ultimately the survival of the species requires us to expand to other planets and not have all of our eggs in this one basket. But what it says to me is it essentially seals the long-term death of our species. Because you're right, in the short term, we'll survive on the planet. But what is the resource cost? What is the technological cost? What is the quality of life cost? What is the future cost of dealing with the huge repercussions to our environment that we're going to do? And those are probably things in like where are the resources going to be for space exploration and space expansion with this?
Yeah, I think necessity is the mother of invention. I think that if we get to a position where these things have happened, I think there will be a lot more money, both governmental monies and from the private sector, to try to reverse it. And I think it could be reversed. Like we just need some sort of terraforming might be required on this planet.
Do you realize how what percentage of our population? And I don't have a number, so I guess what percentage of our people are as humanity on the coasts? Do you know what a couple feet?
Oh, it's the majority.
20, most.
I know.
Filthy, do you 20 know why fucking. Your mic might go mute sometimes. Because at first I thought you don't know. Okay.
If you go into your
do that, am I very excited today? Animated, perhaps? Is it something to
go into
Max?
If you click the gear in the bottom left and you go into audio settings, like voice and video, and then there's a bar that's sort of orange on the left and green on the right. It's it says automatically determine input sensitivity. We drag that all the way to the left, and that way even when you're quite low, it gets through.
Okay, I don't have that. I don't have that on at all. I'll turn it on if you like.
Yeah. Also, usually when
it slide to the left.
Okay, I slid it all the way to the left, basically.
That'll probably fix any issues we have.
Okay, I hope sorry. Thanks for warning me.
No worries.
Let me know if it changes it. If it doesn't, we can mess with more stuff.
China came up with something. It's almost looks like a silo, like a tower, and it's passive, and air just flows through it through some sort of heat rises principle. I don't understand completely, and it pulls carbon out. And I'm like, and apparently, it works on a pretty massive scale, and it's made a difference in pulling out carbon and smog and yuck. And I'm like, wow, maybe they should take this and share it, and we should all be doing this. And if
that's my hope.
Yeah,
not exactly that, but my hope is people like Elon Musk, that we have someone who fucking wealth, intelligence, direction, and fucking drive to do this does something, because I don't see it happening. I don't think this is a political change. I don't think our system is possible politically to do this, because I don't think it's incentivized to do that.
There's a monetary incentive. Solar seems to be a very cheap way to get energy. And I understand that there's batteries and there's issues. And if you go pure solar, then the production rates don't always match the consumption rates. So there's issues. But man, oh man, it seems like we've got politicians driving coal, even though it's one of the most expensive and filthiest ways. But West Virginia is a swing state, so we got to freaking kowtow to West Virginia in a really severe way. Pennsylvania makes coal too. We got two important swing states building the worst kind of energy. It's the most expensive and it's the most polluting. There are fewer people employed in the coal industry than there are at Arby's. Yet still, coal. I've heard more about coal in the last 2 years than I have in the 20 before that. But Arby's, because they're in swing states, our politicians.
Arby's gets a bad rap.
Okay, I didn't
Whenever I
mean to
bring up
knock
Arby's-
Arby's. I was just saying they had superior employment numbers to the coal industry. And,
They should.
But this is why this is not going to
They
change.
have
Because
the meat.
exactly that. Like, the short term drives are too strong relative to the long term incentives for this. I don't see politics being able to tackle this. It just does not seem realistic.
Solar's growing because it's cheaper, and if that keeps happening, we have hope, right?
Well, depends on the time frame, doesn't it?
It does.
I think it's like that Jeff Daniels newsroom sketch. I think that we
Mm.
had time that we could have fixed this 25 years ago, but that 25 years has elapsed, and it's fucking game over, bro. Those ice caps are going to melt, and there's so many things that are going to happen as a result of global warming that we haven't even fathomed yet. The currents of the ocean, the ones that like move the warm water up north and the cold water down, that sort of like that
Gulf
keep all those
Stream,
fishes fucking alive and shit, and govern our weather patterns. That's gonna go to fucking shit, and a lot of marine life is gonna die out, and a lot of people who rely on fish are gonna fucking starve out, and it's gonna be a global fucking disaster, and we're gonna get to see it.
You might be right, but I'll just pitch this. Is it possible that it doesn't get worse? It just changes. Now, surely, all of us who settled along the coasts in our favorite climate, we will think it's worse. But if freaking Siberia becomes really nice, that's not
because
worse.
You know what
That's
happens
just
when everyone
change.
gets displaced? Do you understand the cost that it's going to be? Like, right now, we have huge immigration issues, right? Right now, this is like a huge thing in Europe. This is some of the things that we are having again in our election, right? Is essentially, what do you do with displaced populations, right? These are people who have nowhere to go. This becomes violence, becomes breeding grounds for all this. These
You have
people
winners and losers, which is why I bought up most of Anchorage.
Sure. I suppose paramotoring may be the future. I don't know this. Maybe there'll be cities based on fucking gliders for all I know. But with the point being that, like, no, that the impact of this is not going to be like, okay, it's maybe we move inland. It's going to be some ridiculous number of people displaced and the huge amounts of economic and political and racial and just violence issues that are come with this. This is going to be a fucking disaster on a scale that we've ever seen.
Kyle talked about, right? You know, the Gulf Stream suddenly
Probably
goes
can't eat them as much
down, and the Pacific one, I don't know the name of it, goes up, right? Like they change, making this up. So does that just mean fish move? Or they don't all have to die. They just take.
I think it has something to do with like the
let me give
governing of the temperature and the oxygenation and the acid levels of the ocean. I think that when those currents stop, that the oxygenation goes down, the acidity goes up, and enormous amounts of marine life die. And as they die, their deaths compound that because there's so many dead fish in the water, so it becomes a chain reaction.
Let me give you another example. This was when I was reading like 2 nights ago. This was super fun. My wife really appreciated me sharing this with her, so I'll share it with you guys as well. So this one was so one of the things we have as mammals. This was is our body temperature protects us from a lot of attacking like organisms, right? Like microorganisms, right? And there's fungus now that as the temperature is rising, and they've seen this locally in like near cities, et cetera, where the temperature rises disproportionate to the rest of the environment, these fungus adapt. And these funguses are actually lethal to humans. And they're hard to treat and they're resistant. And they're fucking, because of the environmental temperatures going up, one of the things that are driving this is those temperatures, they're adapting to the temperature changes. Because now the difference in ambient temperature versus like mammal temperature is no longer the same difference as it was before. It's a smaller difference. They're more capable of living in us, and it becomes something else that gets added to this mix of this. It's just like you
don't forget about the mosquitoes that are going to carry all kinds of diseases, and the killer bees. Now, when I watched Killer Bee Nightmare in 1994, I thought we were fucked.
Yeah,
they showed that red wave that just swept to the north.
I'm like, we don't have long. A couple years at best.
I was like, all right, Dad, we all need beekeeper suits and those smoking cans. Like, we need those ASAP.
But the point is not beware of everything. The point is that there's so many small things that you don't think of, like that, these chain reactions of this shit that come out of this, and you're just like, oh wow. Turns out we're in a really complicated.
The point is, there's fungus among us.
There absolutely is fungus among us. No, I agree. Like,
these are your sponsors. I can't be responsible.
This episode is brought to you by Fungus Among Us. Fungus, our friends. Rub it in deep because it loves you. Like, no. Actually, let me do a couple quickly. Man, I'm looking forward to watching the debate tonight. I guess a lot of shit's happening. I think Kamala Harris is making herself look like a real dummy. I think Tulsi Gabbard accused her of like concealing evidence that made innocent people go to jail when she was a prosecutor, and laughing about legalizing marijuana like 3 years ago or something like that. Looking like a real fool up there, Kamala.
Does anyone have I have a filthy, might not know what our audience does. Kyle and I bet $100. Kyle has Biden and Bernie, and I have everybody else as the who becomes the Democratic nominee. Kyle. Oh, man, I'm starting to think that I'd rather have Kyle's side of the bet. You know, like it. Not that I'm trying to change it, but I there was a time when I felt pretty good. In the same way that if I gave you the Patriots and some other football team and I had the other 30, I'd like my odds. You know, it's. But
you let me pick 2 NFL teams. I might do that too.
I think I will.
I'm pretty sure I picked the Stanley Cup last year, before the season started. I didn't pick the Blues, no. but I picked the other team. I was like, we were like,
pick the Capitals.
Maybe not, or maybe it was the NBA thing. Maybe it was the NBA finals. It was something like that. I'm pretty sure I picked it. I was like, these sports are dumb. I was like, there's like 6 teams ever in it, and it's usually just 2 or 3 of them. I was like, it's gonna be this guy or that guy or this guy, and it was like 1 or 2 of them or something like that. That's how it always is with everything. There's just front runners.
Always is too long. Like no one would have thought Toronto was going to win the NBA this year at the start of the
season. That's true. That's true.
And then no one would have thought the Blues would win.
Yeah, long shots, big time this year. But football.
Wait, is that Taylor's team, the Blues?
It is.
Yeah. They won the Stanley Cup
in the end.
They did. They went from the whole Stanley Cup.
I think I follow Taylor on Twitter, and I think there was just like outrage for a while from that side of something. So I just assumed they lost.
They went from worst in the league to winning the Stanley Cup.
Huh.
Taylor was telling us about the Blues subreddit. Like in January when they were the worst in the league, they're like, I don't understand with our roster why we're the worst team in the NHL. and sure enough, they were the best. Just took a bit.
Yeah. I'm pretty. I get, you know, it's still there's still other people that I would prefer. Obviously, I like Bernie. I like Bernie enough. Like he makes a good point when we talk about this is unaffordable. That is unaffordable. It's like, well, shit. Every time we need a new aircraft carrier, we fucking find a way. Every time we need to invade another Middle Eastern country, we just fucking do it. So like maybe we can pay for everybody's college and just maybe that's a huge investment into our infrastructure rather than a divestment into a desert somewhere. Maybe it makes sense.
I don't know.
And it turns out when you're like 9 foot underwater in a fucking sinking boat, you're willing to try some extreme solutions.
Have you seen Kevin Costner's Waterworld? I think things are going to work out just fine for us.
Yeah.
The thing about paying off college debt that kind of rubs me the wrong way is that you're paying off debt for a pretty wealthy class in America, right? These are like college graduates, I assume.
We have a lot of debt, so keep going. I'm interested now.
I just, there's a lot of broke people in America. A lot of them never went to college. But it's like, if you went broke this particular way by choosing a very expensive private school to spend 4 years learning and not working, and now you're on the other side of that, where presumably you have a higher income and a lower unemployment rate, because that's what college is for, and it's what it actually delivers on. We're going to solve your problem.
So I make quite a bit more as a streamer than I would have fulfilling my profession.
So on average,
consequently,
college does that. But carry on.
Consequently, my wife, for example, who did finish the degree that I would have earned, but she finished it with her PhD. She's now a full professor, and she doesn't make fucking jack shit for the amount of education that she has to have for that position. Like the pay is not in remotely reasonable.
Turns out a 2-year degree from a community college to work on HVAC systems would have been much more profitable.
Yeah, probably would have, honestly.
Yeah, that's what I always recommend. I don't know shit about shit, but like I always recommend that to anybody who's like, I don't know what to do with life. I barely made it through high school. No way I'm going to be able to do 4 years of college, because then what am I going to do? I'm not a computer programmer. I'm not going to work in an office building. I'm like, dude, go to a 2-year technical school. It's cheap as you can imagine. It's so cheap. It's
I almost did that. I told you. I was telling you earlier on this stream. I almost did that to your technical college because I was just like, fuck this bachelor's degree. It's not doing shit for me.
Learn to work on HVAC.
No one takes your HVAC job and ships it off to China.
No, they need you right here, right now. It's expensive as fuck, and the people who need it need it. You might as well be the toilet paper delivery man. They call you up; they are not going to say no if you say it's $5 a roll. They need it right now. Blazing summer, freezing
Man's
winter.
from Hotlanta.
They want your work. Oh my god, I've been without AC for a day or two. It's a nightmare. You'll pay whatever they want. You work 2 or 3 years and you save up enough money to get your own fucking truck and an ad in the yellow pages, and your life is kind of on a new trajectory where maybe in 2 to 5 more years you get another truck and you hire a guy who used to be in your position just coming out of that technical school, put him in his own fucking truck that you're getting most of the profit from. Now, how long is it before you got 5 trucks and then 10? Maybe you go to a new city in 25 years. By the time you're retirement age, your son's working on the whole infrastructure of your southeast of the United States HVAC system company. You know, like you can pull yourself up from nothing with a 2-year degree in something that a lot of people would scoff at.
That's true. In terms of career advice, I think everything you said is right. It is work. You know, like there's no ping pong table at the crawl space like there was at Cisco.
Nope.
You gotta earn it. But
there's still less stink though, isn't it? You walk down the hallway of Cisco, it smells like curry and shit. I like curry.
I like curry too.
No.
What'd Philby say?
He asked if I was running for office. Well, I mean, maybe in the South on a Republican ticket.
Yeah, could be.
Every time I walk down the streets of this city, it smells like shit and curry. Yeah! Send them home.
I was
born
America, here. Home is right here. You're a little
Shut up,
brown.
Ahmadinejad.
Yeah. I don't know. But yeah, I just worry like the whole pay off the college loan thing, like I know Filthy's pulled out his corner cases and anecdotes, but in general, college raises your income and lowers your unemployment.
I was suggesting future college is free. Like going forward. And the issue with that is who qualifies, who doesn't. Do those rich kids still get free college, or are we going to just charge them? The real issue, in my opinion, I don't even know how you change this, is college is too fucking expensive. Like I hate.
It's worse than that even. Like you look at some things like like the ones that always gets me are comparison studies, right? This gets around some of the fucking here's my sob story shit. But like compare our country to other countries with college education. Look at what this does in terms of motivating people. Looks in terms of what it does for like brain drain. It's ridiculous that our system is so fucking backwards that we are essentially holding our college students at the end of this accountable for things that other countries are paying them to do because of the benefits to their country to have that done. That to me bothers me on some level. So I don't know what the solution is. I don't have a solution.
I think the problem is
the problem.
Somehow in my case it's this. 18-year-olds are making huge financial decisions, and they make them like 18-year-olds would. This school's got the nicest gym. This school's trees were blossoming when I did my campus tour. This school has the clubs, and our football team got second in. It
was a serious consideration when I picked one of my colleges, the proportion of men to women to it.
Okay,
that was a serious consideration when I was making.
Here's what Hope had to deal with: 1, fiscal responsibility had been taught to her since before she could talk, and 2, I was like, hey, here's what you get funded. We will pay for UNC. If you go to a school that costs more than UNC, this is an in-state school for people that know it's a little less expensive. If you go to a school that costs more than UNC, I will pay the amount that UNC would have cost. And if you go to a school that's less than UNC, then you get that extra. And she chose UNC. She got in. But in that financial driver was huge for her. It was one of the primary reasons she went there. But a lot of people are like going to whatever, University of Chicago, because it's the best school that accepted them. But they're not from that state, and it costs a bundle. And now they decided to just engage in $80,000 worth of debt to start their life.
My graduate school decision was based a large part on financial. I got accepted into 2 colleges. I got accepted into University of North Carolina. Northern Illinois University and the University of Hawaii at Manoa. Those were the 2 places I got chosen at, and I went to Illinois.
Aloha.
And I went to fucking Illinois because they offered me both tuition. They offered me full boat in terms of tuition and a stipend. And Hawaii said one or the other.
Dude,
Oh.
it had to be tempting though to go to fucking Hawaii.
It
Though.
was very fucking tempting. And as an undergraduate, I would 100%. And I also now
I don't know. You're a little
like,
pale
maybe I
for the
should've.
Pacific.
Yeah, right. Like I might have died of skin cancer, but nevertheless, I love Hawaii. I've been there, I've traveled there, and it's been fucking incredible. And I sometimes wonder what life would have been like differently for that. But I made that decision because it was like, this is the difference between walking out of my education with a huge debt or not.
If school becomes free, my fear is that it becomes like the military or even healthcare, where like people are just disconnected from the prices, and therefore the prices go outrageous. You know, I read a thing
again, like
recently.
my graduate school was free. That's what I'm saying.
I'm not talking about you. But you know, I'm saying that if the government pays for free school, is what I was trying to get at. I can see where you came from. Then
but the government would, if they do that though, couldn't the government do some price fixing? And be like, look, no, that's not what it costs anymore. It costs this. Oh, well, we'll just pull all federal funding.
Possibly, but do they do that? Is that how our military runs? No, we have $1,400 coffee cups and $900 toilets and outrageously priced ashtrays and hammers and whatever, and we just get raped because the people who are watching the money, it's not actually their money, so they don't really give a fuck.
If you have single payer education where Uncle Sam is footing the bill on everybody's collegiate experience, they got to be like, look. UNC, that's not what's it cost? No. Now it's $15,000 a student. Oh, well, we're gonna downgrade you to a level C school now. Your graduating class will be 350 people a year. All right. Good day. I feel like they could do some price fixing. They could fucking force these colleges to come down to something reasonable. I hate the athletic systems at these colleges. I hate that somehow it feels like the students are somehow funding football, even though the football system is incredibly for profit. It seems like their athletic systems should.
Don't these programs bring in absurd money to the colleges? Isn't this?
If they did, then the school would be free.
Well, no, it's just that the money doesn't go that way, like doesn't make it that far, right? It's not that they aren't bringing in absurd amounts of money to these colleges. It's just those savings are not passed on to the student, right?
Where's it going?
I know in some ways
somebody's pocketing that money. We need to find out. Tip him upside down and get like.
Some
I
of it goes towards the facilities. I know
UGA,
LSU, they just got new locker rooms. They're outrageous. Yeah. I forget who the pro player was, but I think he plays for the Panthers or something. He's like, my locker room at LSU was way better than it is now as a professional football player. And they just upgraded, and I saw it. And the LSU locker rooms are insane. Every locker is like a little individualized, and there's televisions, and there's the LSU locker rooms are bonkers.
Oh my God.
Do you have a picture you can share?
Just Google LSU locker rooms. What the fuck are they doing in Louisiana? $28 million?
I told you they were really good.
Dude!
What are you talking about? What's it? Is it Kobe beef that's like hand massaged? It's important. You got to hit that shit.
Oh, yeah, that's absurd. That's absurd wastefulness.
So some of it goes there. And then I can tell you this. Every collegiate swimmer has a little thank you for the football team that funded them. You know, we know no one came to watch us. You know, it was you guys who brought in the money to the athletic department and made it happen.
That's just upsetting. It's just upsetting.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see we'll see if we get a new president. I still don't think we will. I think Donald Trump's going to win again. I don't think that any of the Democrats can beat him. I think that what you talked about earlier, what you touched on a bit, the whole needing to be a bit of a centrist, to take some of those former Obama voters who became Trump voters and turn them back into Democratic voters. I think that if you get somebody like Bernie in there, some of these Elizabeth Warren for sure, they're too radical, and certain parts of the Democratic Party are like, we're going to stand by our ideals. And it's like, well, you're going to lose the fucking race. You think Donald Trump has ideals?
Yes.
Donald Trump has wins and losses, and he cares.
I said this 4 years ago when he got elected. Like, this is not a.
Trump is not aiming at the middle.
The game changed. It doesn't matter what it was before. It doesn't matter what you believe. The game of politics changed.
Trump just overpromised. That's what he did. If Trump had any magic, it was we're going to make America great. We're going to bring back all the coal jobs. We're going to bring back all the manufacturing jobs. We're going to bring back whatever your favorite thing. Okay, whatever your favorite thing is, that's what's going to happen. And we're going to fix Medicare. What we're going to do is we're going to make it so much more efficient. Everyone is going to have the best health care, and I'm going to do it on day one. I'm going to build a wall on day one. His level of day one stuff was so outrageous, I don't even know it was supposed to be believed. But that's how he won.
Because exactly. But what you just actually described, and this is what I'm saying exactly that, but not. It doesn't matter what the words were. It doesn't matter if he promised you a wall on day one or, the world will be a single government under Trump and world day one. It doesn't matter. What he's actually done is taken the concordance of reality with politics has gotten vastly different than it's ever been before, right? It used to be you get caught in a lie.
The concordance of reality. What does that mean?
Yeah, it's just like how realistic. Okay, what you say and do are no longer anywhere near related anywhere nearly as related as they were before, right? With Trump, right? Like, Trump is the first president to do this in any way, right? Political scandals that would have killed any other president, crippled them, have just washed off of him because
it's wonderful.
Game has changed.
He's like, oh, are there 28 rape charges against me? Well, let's change the topic to racism.
Yep. The game has changed. If you go back to playing as it was before then, you're going to lose because there's a strategy that beats that now. And the strategy that beats that is the strategy that we've seen in the last 4 years. If you don't adapt to that, you're fucked. This is just gaming. This isn't anything to do with politics. This is just straight up.
I love the
this
topic.
strategy is better. And we're never going to go back to that. You're not going to be able to put that back in the box unless there's serious, ridiculous reform. I don't believe it. I'll see it when I see it. I'll believe it. Until then, I don't. And if you don't fight fire with fucking fire on this, you will always be behind. So I'm terrified. I'm terrified the Democrats will do that this year. That this in the next year and a half in this election cycle, they will go back to the previous tried and true shit, and they will lose again because the game has changed.
Do you think? I think if you lose to President Kanye.
I think if you're a betting man, I think if you're just placing a wager on it and you're taking all of your emotion out of the thing, like you would a boxing match or a UFC contest. It's like, oh, well, I really love Conor, but he's fighting Khabib Nurmagomedov, the Dagestani Eagle. I'm a betting man. I have to put it on the man called the Eagle because he's never lost before and he smashes. So I think that in this race, Donald Trump is the Dagestani Eagle, and everybody else is Conor McGregor.
I don't know.
You can use UFC. You can just go further back. Like, I mean, UFC wasn't the point. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong here, because I'm not a huge UFC guy, but it wasn't the point of UFC to bring in all different types of fighting styles initially and see which one was the best.
Yep.
This is fucking karate. People are fucking. This is, if you want the analogy, the politics is we're still doing karate over here, and people are doing fucking mixed martial arts over here. Like, you want to play karate versus fucking Brazilian jiu-jitsu? Go for it. Let's see what the outcome of that is.
Of course, look
at him. Right? Look at him. He's doing Tai Chi. I'm going to poke him in the eye. I'm going to poke him in the eyes right away. Watch this. Watch this. Come here.
Did he say Ospaskarugan? That's fake. You can't Ospaskarugan people.
What are you doing over there? Stretching out? Come here, bitch.
I'll stretch you.
It's not going to work. It's not going to work. You know how many yoga instructors I've raped? Please.
Filthy makes an interesting point. I'm not sure he's right. I do know that Trump just won by lying, which is, the summation of what you said. But he barely won, right? He barely won in an upset, and he got fewer votes. So I don't know that it's the unbeatable strategy.
Take even the people who were in the race with Trump. Take like Hillary Clinton. You think she could have survived any of the things that Trump survived?
No, I don't. It's a weird kind of double down, never back off that works for him, right? Like, never apologize. That would be the opposite of who Trump is.
It's tangential again. Here's reality. It's this curve. He touches it on this one point, and that's it.
I don't think I understand that analogy. Like, how is it?
Because it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter what reality is on this because he only interfaces with it at that one point. And that one point is you electing him, right? Like, this is the only point that it fucking matters on this. The rest of that, after that fact, after the fact people elected him, it doesn't matter. He doesn't matter that he is a fucking, homophobe, that he's a misogynist, that he is advocating these horrible things, that he's, that his policies are terrible, that he doesn't know what the fuck is the ass end of anything it is, because he's not engaging with reality. That isn't his engagement at all. And if you fight him in reality, you lose.
That kind of supports your point. I thought it was interesting that for the first 6 or 12 months of his term, he would constantly talk about what a landslide victory he had.
Sure.
Right?
He's just redefining it. It's not reality.
He would talk about it in terms of votes and say the actual vote counts are fake, but if you take out all the illegal aliens who voted for Hillary, I won the vote and it was huge. And then the electoral vote, now that was an absolute landslide. And they're like, I'm going to mess up my numbers, but 3 out of the last 5 presidents all won by bigger electoral margins than you. You're actually a little below average. It was a close race. But it didn't matter. He just repeated again and again and again, trying to act as if he had won a landslide when the numbers don't support that.
Yeah. It's pointing at fake news. It's just like it's not a thing. Like he's not engaging in this in the same way. It's not like I don't know if you want to call it I see this in the long form podcast. They call it good faith arguing versus not good faith arguing. He's not engaging in good faith politics.
So let me ask you this. Did I interrupt? Do you have
No, go ahead.
So the Democrats are currently trying to decide whether they want to adopt less extreme positions, right? Let's take healthcare. Do you want to offer a public option that competes on a fair ground with a private option? Or do you want to get rid of private insurance entirely, change this, and just have the government supply healthcare like they do in some other countries? One alienates the middle a little bit. And what Trump does, he doesn't give a crap about the middle, it would seem. He'll just do and say whatever, make promises that aren't real. Which strategy do you take as a Democrat? Do you make strategies? Do you say things that aren't real? Do you go far left and excite people? Or do you take the middle and hope to get lots?
You say things that aren't real. And you do it because what you're actually doing is the policies that will actually be enacted and the legislation and reality of ruling this country are not actually related to what the political process of being elected are anymore. Those are now disjointed enough that that's not the approach you want to take. The approach of defining and elaborating on and defending the position you believe in isn't related to the outcome of being elected anymore. So you don't
what a
try to
horrible
you don't try to
world
make
you would
those.
Construct, right?
You don't do that anymore. It's just bad. It's just bad at being. It's bad at
getting elected.
It's a bad gaming, right? The game is now being elected, and once you're elected, you can do things. If you can't get elected, you can't do things. So you do what you do to get elected. We've just seen this. That won the last time, and I don't think you can go back.
Chiz is saying that Twitch is aggressively banning any Twitch channel that is streaming the CNN Democratic debate, including Hasanabi, Destiny, and Trihex.
That's stupid.
Yeah, look.
Is it? I want to hear your thoughts.
Absolutely is. For some reason, there's a licensing agreement to stream the fucking debate that's going to help determine who the next leader of this country is, and for some reason, it's behind a paywall instead of being out free for anyone and everyone on every single possible platform. This
I don't
thing
have cable. I don't have I watched that on CNN to start with, and then I actually switched afterwards because I'm like, fuck, I would like to watch. My wife was gone. I'd like to watch this. And when I switched to Destiny's channel and watched the end of that on Destiny's channel last night. It's fucked up. That
I have CNN. I have it on Sling TV, so I can stream it, through my Fire device, and I don't have to have basic cable or anything. And I watched the part 1 of the Democratic debates last night. I really enjoyed it. But I was thinking when I was watching it, it's bullshit that I have to like if I didn't have this, I literally couldn't watch it. This isn't
HBO's Game of Thrones. This isn't fine. Like that. I get it. You got to pay for that shit. These are the Democratic debates for our fucking potential next president. How is this not something?
Sanders and Warren up there talking about the 1% and the forgotten Americans. Meanwhile, how many of the people that they're like calling out to vote to them can't afford fucking cable, can't afford CNN to even hear their fucking words.
You're winning me over. Before the show, I had the opposite stance. There's a YouTuber I watch. I think his name is Matt Packman, something like that. He's a liberal. He's like a liberal Ben Shapiro. And anyway, his channel got a copyright strike on it because he was live streaming the debates the first night of it. And I thought about it, and I was like, yeah, of course. I think I'm a little whatever the opposite of like what is that, like authority figure rejection syndrome? Filthy, help me here. You're gonna know it. The
I have no fucking idea what you're talking about.
anyway, okay. So I think that when I hear an official judgment, I tend to agree with it. You know,
That's funny. I'm so the opposite. So that's
okay.
interesting.
Oppositional defiance is what I was looking for. I'm the opposite of oppositional defiance. And I hear it and I'm like, well, that makes sense. I can see why they landed on that.
Oppositional compliance.
Yeah, perfect. Maybe I have oppositional compliance syndrome. And then I heard it and I thought, yeah, that Matt Parker or Pac-Man was making the stance that he's like, hey, there's a lot of people who'd like to hear my thoughts on the debates, right? This might sound crazy to you, but there are a lot of people who would love to hear me be the commentator on these debates as they hear live. I have an audience and I'm doing a value add on top of the base of these debates. Therefore, it's, what do they call the free rights thing? Help me, free use, right? Something like that. And,
well, to be fair, I mean, everything I ever do on stream is streaming someone else's copyrighted material. I'm streaming a game and I'm adding.
I hear you.
That.
But I would love look, this might sound crazy to some of you, but there are people who'd love to watch the UFC with me, right? I could take the UFC, I could talk over it, I could give my own opinions on what's going on, crack a joke, make a commentary, whatever. There are some people out there who would watch it with me, but that doesn't mean it's okay for me.
I'd love to do that, by the way.
Right, but we can't stream the UFC.
Of course not.
You know, like that's copyright. And CNN said it. They literally talked to him and they said, we spent millions putting this together. Like it costs a lot for us to host these debates. You can't just have everyone watching it on Destiny.
Yeah, but it's
and
the
Pac-Man's.
content.
That's the difference. It's almost like these things should be done by the government instead of CNN, so that they're public
or some public institution. Put them in fucking at like the debate stage at Yale. And get the fucking student AV club to put it on, and I'll still fucking watch. You think I give a fuck what Don Lemon has to ask? I don't give a fuck what Don Lemon has to ask, and I hate the way that they sort of CNN's totally pushing their own narrative with this thing. They have chosen the people that they want to win this thing, and they're trying to like make this guy attack that guy and this girl attack that guy. They're like, so Mr. polling at 1%. Many people say that Bernie Sanders is a radical leftist who will only do this and that in the future. What do you think? And he's like, I wish he'd been like, I think you're a terrible host and you're a menace to the democratic process. I wish that's what he'd said.
Who said that? Elizabeth Warren said that, right? They were like, she was like, there are advertisers on this show that want the government to play like this, and they're like, stop talking, Elizabeth Warren. Your time is up. Let's move on.
Right. Like they asked Buttigieg, like, so you're the youngest, contender or whatever, for president. Bernie Sanders is the oldest. What do you think about this? What they're trying to get him to go say is he too old to cut the mustard? And he's just like, I think it's more about the vision of the candidate than the age of the candidate. I was glad he
had a good answer, though. It was something close to, these guys have had 40 years to fix this problem, and they haven't. So let's give the next generation a chance. I think that was included in there.
I watched most of it last night. Obviously, I can't watch tonight, so I'll watch some excerpts later. Biden's really the only one on tonight that I can think of that I really care about.
Kamala
I think
Harris,
most of the
one that they attacked, they're together.
Yeah, I think that most of the, I think all of the non-white candidates are on tonight. But last night's I enjoyed. I think Warren represented herself fairly well. I think Bernie Sanders always does a good job. He always comes off with the guy who's like, I love that whole, like, the guy was telling him, that millionaire who was a Colorado governor or something. He's like, you don't know that bill's going to do that, Bernie. You don't know. He's like, I know because I wrote the damn bill.
That was a really good fire comeback.
That was a great soundbite.
They should take that other guy and extinguish his flame like it was Survivor.
The tribe is spoken, asshole. Yeah. like they need to eliminate the people who have less than 2%. The tribe should fucking speak and get them off the stage. I want to hear more about foreign policy. They're just hopping around like it's a fucking like it's Jimmy Fallon show or something like that.
Talked about.
Like, I want to hear about fucking Israel and Palestine. I want to hear about Russia, North Korea, Iran. I want a whole night of foreign policy, and I don't want 1 hour or 2 hours. If it takes 4 fucking hours, then do it, because I want to hear everything that Pete Buttigieg has to say about North Korea. I want to hear don't give me 1 minute. Don't give me a 60-second bite to tell you what I think about North Korea, because my last 30 seconds is, of course, going to be, and I'm the guy who did this, this, and that, born from a low-income family, and pulled myself up by my bootstraps, and my father
did you get
was
tired
a
of
meat.
hearing their own like rehearsed buzzwords in there? Like I think what's his face was saying repeatedly. He's like, on my watch, on my watch, on my watch, and I'm like, Jesus Christ,
You know
I get
what
it,
I
I
hate?
understand.
Anecdotes. There's no faster way to infuriate me while watching a debate for them to say, Johnny from St. Louis.
Yeah, and there was like 3 or 4 people saying that.
And he drove all the way up to Canada to buy less expensive. Johnny from St. Louis. And I'm like, you're talking about one person. I know it's a broader strip. That anecdote nonsense has to go. I hate it.
But it's not gonna, like, the whole thing is a production, right? Like, again, like, this is maybe me being jaded about this, because I'm on some level, I'm like, I was a little bit last night, I'm like, some of these topics are interesting, some of these responses are interesting, some of the theory that sits behind these responses is really interesting, but I'm not in the least bit convinced that 10 or 12 or whatever the hell candidates it was on a stage being given their 30-second sound bites have any ability to do that. I mean, I listen to like long form podcasts. I listen to Joe Rogan. I listen to Sam Harris. Like I listen like Jordan Peterson. I listen to this type of thing because this is an interesting way to have ideas expressed. But that is not the Democratic debates. That's not what's happening there. There's no time for that.
There's an interesting thing happen that the Democrats are fighting about. So on the right, they're not doing this. On the left, they are. On the left, they're trying to appeal to the middle. Because if you can get the left in the middle, you'll win. If you can get the right in the middle, you'll win. Trump is not doing that. Right? Every day, he must know that half the stuff he says is either racist or gets twisted to looking like it's racist, right?
I don't think I'm in any position to judge what he does and doesn't know. Like that's not sanity anymore. We're not working from the same fucking frame of reference.
I don't think it's possible that he's unaware. He's tied into social media. He's tied into media. And he knows that he must know the next time he says New York is rat infested, they're going to make that somehow racist. He's got to stop using infested. He's got to throw an attack against a white guy every now and then because he's been kind of exclusively people of color for a little bit.
He shits on Mueller every day.
True. But wait, there's more. So the shithole countries thing, and he likes Norway, and he needs to be hyper aware of what happens to him, but he's not. He doesn't care. He would love for immigration to be the only topic of the entire next election because he thinks it's a winner.
This is the Trump is a super genius argument. I don't buy that. Like this is it's such a simpler solution. It's like this is the tangential connection to reality. I love that fucking word. Literally, what's the tangent of a fucking, you have a tangent of a curve, right? It's a curve with a line. The line touches the curve on exactly one point, right? This is a tangent. That's fucking Trump with reality. This is like, that is what this is. This is the
I don't
one
think
point
he has
of
to
context.
be.
So you're like,
no. I'm not suggesting that he's playing. I'm not suggesting that he's playing 4D chess. I'm only suggesting that he's not so unaware of the impact of what he says. We've all been social media professionals. We know, like, once you get targeted as like a money whore or something, you need to. This is me. You need to be sensitive about doing things that would have you perceived as a money whore. People don't like it. Trump has been targeted as a racist. You can't tell me that he's so unaware of that targeting, of that reality, of that perception, that he wouldn't make some steps to avoid it. I think it's not 3D chess to say he doesn't give a shit. He's happy making the issues immigration.
If I believe the government is after me, and I believe this to the point where I'm putting on my tinfoil hat and the rest of it, I'm not doing this because I'm thinking past this. I'm doing this because this is my reality.
Okay. So, but where I was headed with that was the left has this debate. Some of them say, hey, we should have health care for everybody. Hey, we should make the laws for coming into the country civil laws, not criminal, right? They want to go far left. And others are like, if you go that far, Trump wins the presidency again. You can't go just left. You have to grab left and middle. And they're dealing with an interesting question. Like, do we have to but like open to the middle? Do we have to have what the left would consider low expectations and weak aspirations so that we can bring Trump voters in? Or can we have high aspirations like Trump does, just his are right aspirations and they have left ones? And it's an interesting question to ask. Elizabeth Warren was like, I don't know why someone would go through all the trouble of running for president just to tell us what we can't do and what we can't get done.
That's what a lot of people seem to be doing.
Well, I don't believe in global warming. We were talking about stuff that we don't believe earlier. Like that's the one I don't believe in anymore. I don't believe that humans are causing global warming. Every time I see one of those Senate hearings, you'll have like Senator whoever the hell, and he's talking to some person who is like, yeah, this lady wanted to phase out the combustion engine in 10 years, and she wanted air travel to go down by 12%, and she wanted to put all this high-speed rail in, and he starts layering like how much CO2 that is. And he's like, so it came down to like 0.003% CO2 reduction, and oh, by the way, aren't CO2 levels today lower than they were in 1970? I don't have that data. I didn't think you would.
Are you sure? I hadn't heard that part. That would open my eyes.
It might not be. It might even be
I am in the mainstream
factor in global warming.
On global warming, which is, I think all of you people should do your part.
No,
I'm doing even more to wreck it.
I'm going to keep my V8 pickup truck, but I need you to carry your weight, Kyle.
I need you to use a dirty bag at the grocery store.
I've been composting my poop in the backyard for years now, but the whole idea of the carbon footprint is like a slap in the face to the average human being. And I don't mean like average, like some small majority or like what most people are like. I mean like 99% of us. Like it's nonsense to be looking at your carbon footprint because it's nothing.
Why is that?
Because there's Taylor Swifts out there. Because there's Monsantos out there and DuPonts out there.
And
so
keep in mind, those are just the American ones. And all of America is some small fraction of the global pollution. The real problem is Indonesia, China, India, these billion human being countries that have no standards, that just, you see what their rivers look like. Look at the Ganges River when those filthy people go out there and bathe in that foam. You know how filthy water makes that foam?
Has the biggest carbon
They
footprint.
love it.
If it's not us, then it's China. But it's the idea that America is innocent on this and that some poor country has a bigger carbon footprint, I think is untrue. At least it used to be, and I could be out of date.
I would be so surprised. Zach, help us out here, because my thought process is like
carbon footprint by country. Let's see it.
Yeah, like or CO2 output by country. Maybe,
I know that
or something like
we
that.
don't like
same difference.
We like if you were out and about on a float trip or at the beach with someone and they like drank a can of soda or a bottle of soda and then just like threw it in the ocean. Any one of us would be like, "What the fuck?" Like, don't do that shit. Like, it's got to. We want,
but not because
nice next time we show up. If you're in Bangladesh, they're gonna or India, you're gonna be like, "Look at this homosexual throwing it in the trash." Don't you know the world is our trash can?
You see that river? It is nature's trash can.
Yeah, pretty good. I'm impressed.
Yeah, I just don't believe it. I don't believe it, because if we were that good at doing it, then I feel like we could throw up an atmosphere on Mars. If they're like, yeah, you don't understand. It's like make or break right now whether we survive in the next 50 years. Really? We must be warming this place up quick. Can we apply some of that output to Mars and just throw up an atmosphere like it's?
I don't want to get too far away from our debate. I need to get Caleb's input. So
my input on global warming.
Yeah, and I want to go ahead and minimize.
Here we were stuck.
I don't want to minimize the nuance here. I need a yes or no.
Yes or no?
Is this happening? Are we being had?
Phrase the question appropriately. Do you think that human beings are the main
Why are we
cause
being lied
for
to?
global warming / climate change, whatever they're calling it this week?
I think I will preface it by saying I am extremely wary of things that I am told that other people believe. I'm a redneck by heart. Okay. That being said, it does get awful cold and awful hot randomly, it seems, and I don't pretend to be a meteorologist or someone who understands or studies or cares really about this kind of stuff. I like to keep my environment clean locally, and I don't like it when when companies can make shit messy and fuck up rivers and stuff like that. So I think that I don't really know about global warming. I don't know if it's legit or not. I think that the environment is very important. I do think that is incredibly important, and I think that if fighting global warming also has a positive effect on the environment, I would be for that.
Well, it could be a yes and no there, though, because all right, so you could look at pollution's a big fucking coverall kind
Right.
of thing. But we could talk about, say, a company like DuPont and its forever chemicals and them ending up in the waters and microplastics and that stuff. Nobody likes that, right,
That's
left,
bad.
center.
Yeah.
Of course.
But I don't want you telling me what kind of stove I can have. I don't like you telling me what. I take that fucking bullshit nonsense out of every shower that I use. That thing that slows down the flow rate.
restrictor thing.
They got a restrictor plate on my shower. I can't handle the full blast, please. Okay. Like I don't want one on my car either. Like I'm okay with emission standards, I suppose, but I cheat them.
Kyle,
like
I take off the restrictor on every sink and every shower. In addition to that, we have a fucking household booster pump that increases the pressure to this bitch.
Thanks.
If it doesn't hurt a little, we're not done yet.
I like that.
And the same with toilets.
Yeah.
I remember, and it may be King of the Hill that sort of shines some light on this. It's that
It's a good episode. The low flows.
And I don't know the exact numbers, but they went from like 1.5 liters or gallons, whatever the metric is, per flush down to like 0.75 or something. It's like, look how much water we're saving. It's like, dude, I got to flush 3 fucking times though. It's over and over. I'm here. You're using more water because you
Have
can't
you ever
get
shit
a
at a
dump
friend's
down
house?
with a weak ass toilet.
Have you ever shit at a friend's house that has
Sure.
one of those toilets? And you're expecting, like, I'm
I had a
expecting my
girlfriend.
toilet, which is like if I put your dog Murphy in there and I
You drop a
flushed
log
it,
in
he's
that
going.
thing. Exactly.
He's getting sucked
I
down.
had
Towards
a
the
girl-
equator.
Yeah, it's
I'm like,
stressful.
Woody-
You watch that water barely get sucked under. It's like, oh, how's this gonna handle that?
Exactly. Yeah, you gulp audibly.
This isn't even a bad day for me, and you're barely getting it done.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, damn it! Like, and I chose the bathroom that's adjacent to the room that we're hanging out in, and now they're gonna know that I flushed twice.
I've never clogged a toilet, by the way.
Wow!
Okay.
I have a
haven't-
dainty
I haven't-
asshole.
Yeah, I
that
haven't
can't
since I
be
became like an
true.
adult man and
Hold
like
on,
figured it out.
This is as unrealistic as global warming. You've never clogged a toilet ever.
I've never clogged a toilet. The only thing I've ever done is put a carrot in a toilet, and that clogged it.